I hope you're doing well. I am live again on YouTube and Facebook because I rewatched my stream from earlier and I noted it in the comment of the first stream. I'm like muted for a good 20-ish minutes. And I think it had to do with the way that I was toggling my camera on and off um, so that I could share my presentation a bit bigger on the screen for you. So I just decided I'm going to come on and re-record those pieces because it's kind of after a certain part and then a little bit's good. And then after that, it's just like um, off again. So let me just do that for you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to experiment and see what happens. All right. So, okay, now I'm sharing and I'm going to split my screens again so I can still see you. Oh, maybe it's not sharing. Yes, it should be. All right, let's try this. Okay, you can see it. And let me go into presenter mode for my presentation. Okay, very good. I can see that it's working now. Now I want to like experiment really quick with if I remove, myself from the stream. I think that's what I ended up doing. So let's see what happens. Can I just move my video around? No. I can make my screen bigger without removing myself from the stream. I think that was the issue. All right, so let us just go ahead and move through the end of this presentation so that you have all the bits. Okay, so we were talking about creating a Kanban board for organizing your inputs and your incoming work. So this is my real blood bank Kanban board for our project. It's our project. Oops, sorry, I hit my mic. It's essentially our project list, our project Kanban board. So we have, we have new to categorize here. We have planning bucket. We have doing next, doing now, and then we have changing slash pending feedback, implementing to sustain, and then completed. So over in completed, once we check that each project is completed, it goes in this completed category that I've created. And you can see it's expanded here. I could collapse that so I didn't have to look at completed projects, but you can see they're all crossed out. Each of these little boards or boxes is a project, and you can see that they're color coded. So these are different tags you can add. These like orange yellow tags are our 2023 priority for my team. So you can see we've got all these projects, but only a few of them are priorities for our team. Pink is like system level projects that maybe I'm accountable for or someone else is accountable for. This like other little color is maybe just like a free text, like so and so is doing this project. You can set deadlines. So when a project is due, you can see this project has a red mark. So that has changed the deadline to being overdue. So it looks like we just failed to go in and update, maybe change that project. And that's probably because it's still in like the planning or like the new to categorize section. And you could see these little cute little like circles here. Those are people. So you can assign accountable people, professionals, or leaders on your team to projects. And so they don't necessarily have to be the one doing all the work, but they are accountable for sort of making sure that that work does move forward and happens. So I love this. You can easily move around the projects into the different phases, but the typical flow would be like it would come in here, be new to categorize, then you'd plan it, do it, or plan to do it next, like kind of get it on deck, do it now. Like doing now means spending energy on it. And then wait, maybe it would go here if you're waiting for an email response for somebody, or we're waiting to get feedback to see if that thing's a go. Not even clicking and it's advancing. Sorry. And then implementing to sustain, be like, we did the project, it happened, and now we're just making sure it's sustainable and learning and tweaking. And then complete, be like, it's totally implemented. I love having this because everybody on my team knows what everyone else is doing and who is accountable. I just tell my team to go update it once a week so that I know that it's always updated by the end of the week. So I also have just like a planner version of this. I have a physical and a digital leader standard workbook planner, and this is one of the templates on it. Sometimes it's just nice to like hand write into each of these categories: new to categorize, planning, doing next, doing, checking pending feedback, and implementing to sustain. You could even put sticky notes or post-its in each of these squares and then like move them around. So I love that. And this is just like the year or the team name you can put here. So this is my real blood bank department priority project roadmap. So the Kanban board was just like all of our projects in the different phases. And then you can see that we've actually prioritized them into a roadmap. So really looking at like when is each thing going to happen throughout the year. So how this works is I've got the projects listed on the left-hand side, the months across the top, and then check marks will exist if work was done in that month on the project. X's is when work is hoping to be completed. So you can see for this top one, building and implementing a CAP competencies, it's marked as done. You can see we're all check marks from January to May, and it is completed. And you can see like this one maybe hadn't started yet when I took this screenshot, and the work is going to happen from June to October. In this column here, you have the owner. So this is the accountable leader or the person on the team who is accountable for making sure this work moves forward. So again, it doesn't have to be the leader or the person doing all the work. It just is somebody who's making sure that work moves forward. In this case, this is my direct team, and these folks are really the ones taking most of the action and recruiting others to help them. The other really important thing I wanted to add here is this reporting and return to green escalation column. So I am very clear with my team that the project Kanban list or Kanban board needs to be updated weekly. And then I just know by the end of the week, everyone should have updated it throughout that week. If they have obstacles or barriers, I let them know. They need to let me know during one-on-ones, or if it's like something that's time-bound or urgent, they can message me on Teams or send me an email or whatever, and I can help them out. And then as a team, we review the Kanban list together monthly at our quality meeting. So, like I said, in the past, people were like, I don't know what they're working on. I don't know what she's working on. Hello, if you're joining, I am just here re recording parts of the day 2 of Organized AF Bootcamp that for some reason I did not realize when I was like hiding my camera that I was taking myself out of the stream. So my voice was not heard for part of this. So I'm re recording that. So yeah, now when we have this project roadmap, everybody knows, okay, who has what projects, when is work going to be done, and which ones are priorities for our team. That way it's super clear. So you can see I have myself here and a few things. I also have some like kind of peripheral projects listed here, like system initiatives, just so that my team is aware of things that might affect them that are outside of their work, if that makes sense. So I love this dashboard paired with the like Kanban board where we're like moving all the projects around. And this is really like, okay, kind of in chronological order. And I just created this. I think this is in PowerPoint, but you could do this in Excel very easily. And then, like I said, we review it monthly at our quality meeting, and that's also when we like update the check marks and the X's. All right, so you might have noticed on the top of the scorecard I just showed, we have like asterisks here, and those are our frontline team goals. So I just showed you like my leaders. So I lead leaders. They are accountable for helping our frontline team, the people who are like on the bench in our laboratory, like doing the work. They're accountable for helping our frontline teams do process improvement, like on the bench, or like they actually created a people engagement goal of showing more camaraderie towards each other and sharing heartbeat cards. So heartbeats are like just like digital e-cards that for like to say thank you or congratulations or just like give someone some praise. So this is like our department team goal, all the peeps. And you can see on the left, we have performance dimension goals. So these goals are aligned all the way up to our executive leader team. And our executive leader team cascades sort of like these buckets of goals that they want us to focus on each year. So we have quality and safety, customer experience, people engagement, efficiency, and research and education. So I just don't have research and education on here. But as a team, we worked as a team to decide what our goals were going to be. And this scorecard actually lives in the department and it's located where we like have a stand-up huddle every day. So this is sort of an improvement scorecard. So we have things we want to work on, like reducing the number of delays for like a certain type of add-on tube. So essentially, like we need to get a tube of blood from somewhere else to do testing on it, and that takes time. So like, how can we reduce that? Or reducing number of delays that for our clinic. How can we do that? And so we come up with a metric. We list who the metric owner is, and then every month we update it based on the target that we've set. So you can see some of these are grayed out. So I just want to acknowledge that if you work for a large organization, sometimes goals that do come cascaded from executive leaders down to frontline teams takes time. So in my experience, we used to not get goals for the current year until October in some instances. So the fact that we got a glimpse into some of our goals for this year in the first half of the year to me is great. So if you're a proactive leader and you're like, I just want to set goals for my team, don't let it stop you if your executives haven't cascaded it down. Maybe go on like what they've done in the past, but also just know like there's nothing you can do to set goals that are aligned with the system until those are cascaded. So don't feel like you're behind. You're doing everything that you can. So luckily for us in the last 3 years, we've had these same buckets. And so the goal is relatively the same. If you're trying to set goals and make this visual for your team, I would say just remember that I saw a chat and then I lost my train of thought. Let me just show the comment on the screen. Let's see, what did you say? Oh, I understand. I work for government agency and we usually have goals by quarter two. Yes. 100%. So, yeah, it's just how it is. Sometimes it just takes a while to cascade. So don't worry. And thank you for joining. I'm so glad you joined. And this is sort of a repeat of last or today, but some of the slides my voice didn't record. So I'm just randomly going live and re-recording. So thank you for being here. So this is a really good visual tool for your frontline team to know, like, what do we want to focus on this year? And essentially, how do my behaviors in my workplace, how can I affect change and help our department meet the goal and therefore help our organization meet the goal? If some of these goals that get cascaded down in your organization don't feel like they work for your department, what I would say is just create a goal that's kind of in the spirit, quote unquote, of the intention of that goal. So, for example, customer experience. The goal that our system has for customer experience is related to outpatients or patients in the clinic and their feedback about how that clinic appointment experience was. But my departments are not in the outpatient clinic setting, so I do not get patient experience survey results. So I get to create a different customer experience goal that still would help the clinic experience be better, but wouldn't be, my data could never be customer surveys. So our goal is to help reduce delays in transfusions for the clinic, which therefore, if there are no delays there, a better clinic rating for, let's say, the nursing departments. So hope that helps. We also have another visual management system for my frontline team. It's called the daily engagement system. So essentially what it is you've got somebody who leads it. It's usually somebody who is like in the department, one of our team members, and they'll ask what recognitions or accomplishments do we have to note. So really like showcasing the team at the start of the huddle. And I should say, we present this framework at a stand-up huddle. It usually takes like 10 minutes at the beginning of each shift or whenever is helpful. And the point of this is to essentially set the team up for success. Like, what do we need today to be successful? And if you can, it's really hard to see, but so I'll just tell you right here, it says plan for the day and it's do your best. So what you would do is would go through as a team and talk about safety and list, like, do we have any patient safety events? Do we have any risks today? How about our people? Are we well staffed? Do we have any call-ins? Do we have any training going on? What's the workload? We talk about equipment and supplies. Do we have any shortages? Do we have any broken equipment? We talk about any barriers to service or timeliness, any like specific things we should make note of. And if we have anything to talk about, we'll have a little stop sign magnet here. And then if we have like a metric or something we're measuring, we'll either put like a red or a green next to it. So really making things visual for the team so that they can look at this throughout the day and they're like, okay, here is how we're starting our day. And then we'll huddle again when the next shift comes in or even the next day and say, okay, let's reflect. How was yesterday? And now what do we need to be successful today? So now we're going to the section on proactive communication. So if communication is something you struggle with, let me know in the comments. But proactive communicators communicate ahead of assumptions, rumors, or changes. They communicate in response to any of the above right away. So if they hear assumptions, if they hear about rumors or changes right away, they will communicate and be like, nope, let me dispel that. Here's the real thing that's going on. To their leaders, they will communicate proactively to their leaders with barriers, obstacles, or potential risks to ask for help, and they'll take action behind the scenes. So, what I love to do is give my boss like a heads up. So, I'll be like, hey, boss, I just want to sort of like pre escalate this to you, like, sort of give you a window in terms and see like what might be happening. Like, if I see that things are falling apart in my department, or we've got a risk, or an equipment's broken, and I'll be like, here's what we're doing right now to mitigate the risk. But if something else needs to be escalated or becomes a bigger risk, I'm going to be sharing that with you. I don't want that to catch you off guard. So this is just like the pre-escalation or like the heads up. So it's like the proactive communication. I love this. Because especially if you don't have to escalate again later, it's not that you've told them something they don't need to know, but they do get to see like what you have been doing behind the scenes to help mitigate risk. So I love that. And then proactive leaders, for communication purposes, they'll ask their teams, like, what do you think are the biggest risks we have today? Getting real info from the people working in the department helps you as a leader and professional hear the real problems, right? Because if you're not actually hanging out with them every day and you're just hoping that it bubbles up, you're probably missing a lot of real information. So I know at the beginning of the presentation, the first one, when we talked through the email that I received from Brandy and we talked through like how to communicate with your leader to keep them informed, I was really excited to share this. So this is an active projects list. It's also called like a dashboard. And this is my copy and paste of some of my real dashboard that from the past that I sent my leader. And what it is each column is like the goal category. So you'll see I have efficiency, quality, and safety, etc. So I want everything I do to be aligning with those system goals or performance dimensions. So I like to call that out here to remind myself like these are important things that are aligned. If I can't fit them into any of those buckets, then I start to question, do I really need to be doing those? This column is R/G for red or green. Green if the project's on track, red if I have a barrier or escalation or the project's behind. And then in the next column, I have the name of the project, then I have notes, and then I have a column for actions needed from my one-up leader. So if I had barriers or escalations, I would put them here and I would change it to red so that my leader can see like, oh, they need something from me. And then in laboratory, I'm not sure that this is the same everywhere, but in lab, when we make updates to procedures and policies, we actually turn those changes into green font so that visually it's easy to see like these are the applicable changes. Everything else in black is the same as before. So I will send this to my leader every week when we have our one-on-one so that they can easily skim and prepare for our one-on-one and see the new things. Or if for some reason they're not available for our one-on-one or they need to change it or the timing is not right, I can just email this to them and they can just spot check it and see the escalations needed. So, this is a great way to communicate what you're personally working on as a leader in combination with something more like this project roadmap to be like, hey, boss, here's everything that I'm working on. If you're going to ask me to do 25 more things, like which of these things should I stop doing? Right. So you can use tools like this to be like, here's my team actively trying to be organized and streamlined. We have our projects set based on feedback we've got from customers. And actually, to create this roadmap, I should say, I did ask my leaders, like, if you had to prioritize 5 projects tops, what would be on your priority roadmap? Took that information based on what I knew from my leader and from what I know from what's going on in the org and made those decisions. So it was a collective decision that we made to prioritize these. So if we're going to change, I think this is really good tool to be like, okay, so if we're going to add something in, what needs to come out or stop or be paused? So I definitely use that Kanban board, the roadmap, and then this like dashboard to share with my leader everything that we're doing. And then I know that they view that as super proactive and they know that I have a great understanding about what's going on in my department and not just like hoping I'll figure it out, like that I am driving intentionally in the department for success. Also, meeting with direct reports or like people on your team or with your leader. I love to have a one-on-one meeting notes template for myself just to keep track of the things that I like action items out of the meeting. But more importantly, I love having this little thing. It's like a post-it looking note. It's called to share to ask, and it's got room for 3 things. As a proactive leader, what I've started to do is if the thing is important to me, or if I know that there's a deadline coming up, I will ask my team members about it when we're meeting one on one. Because let me give you an example. Let's say somebody has a deadline coming up at the end of the month and you're doing your one on one with them, and there's 2 days left in the month, and you don't ask about this important deadline. So then the end of the month comes along and they didn't complete and meet their goal. And now it's a month, you're well into the next month, and you're having to hound them like, hey, like, how come you didn't get that thing done? And they might respond with, oh, well, like, we met like a couple of days ago and you didn't even ask me about it. So I thought it wasn't like a big deal anymore. So if it's important to you, definitely ask about that. And I would also say this can help you get into the mind of your own leader as well. So if you're doing a one on one or they're meeting with you personally, listen to what they ask you. Because if they ask you things and you're like, oh, like that wasn't even on my radar, now you can know that they believe it's an important thing. And you can start to ask questions about it. Like, hey, what were you hoping to achieve with me completing this goal? Or like, what's the timeline? What kind of resources can we allocate to this? And start like really asking, what do you need from me? Maybe get some more clarity, because if they're asking about it, that means to them it's really important. Otherwise, they just wouldn't take the to ask. We're only going to ask about the important things. So don't let like meetings go by where you are like thinking in the back of your mind, like, I really hope they get that deliverable done or whatnot. And then you never ask about it, and then they don't get it done, and you wonder why they didn't prioritize it. It's probably because number one, you didn't ask them, and then number two, they're thinking, well, if she didn't ask, then not that important. All right. And then a word on goals. So for me, goals, the big thing about goal setting is clarity is key. If you don't know what's expected of you, it's really hard to hit the target. So I just want to stress how important it is to hit those goals, to set clear goals, and to be able to talk with your leader about what those goals should be for you, or you as a leader helping your team members set goals. So something to remember is that you are usually given a performance-based raise or increase at your performance appraisal or throughout the year based on whether or not you hit those goals. So if you get like an exceeds or an exceptional, then you will probably get a higher raise than if you meet expectations or are below, right? So that could be a difference between like getting like a 1% raise or a 4% raise, let's just say. So do be sure that you take ownership for your goals and don't forget about yourself. I'm missing some words there. And make sure that you bring this up with your leader. I find that as professionals or leaders leading others or like helping our team be successful, we might be like really focusing on those team goals. And then at the end of the year, we're like, oh, our like personal organizational goals weren't that great. And we never adjusted them. And now you find yourself kind of in a pickle like, well, I did all this great stuff throughout the year, but those weren't my official performance goals. And now I'm like going to fail my review, or I'm just going to get like a meets expectations. And let's just be real. If you're here, you're probably not a meets expectations kind of person. You're like an exceeds or exceptional. So just be mindful of that. And goals definitely need to be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound, right? But also know that they can be like vectors. So, what I mean by that is you can set a goal to go in a specific direction with a specific like speed. Like, I'm heading this way in my strategy for my team, and this is kind of what we're hoping to achieve. But do know that you do have to set a measurable goal, because otherwise, how will you know if you're meeting it or not? So, I'm kind of in the camp of like sometimes goals can be very dumb because you might do all these wonderful things all year and it's really hard to give yourself credit. But I also am of the camp like, well, we need something to measure performance. So set goals wisely and bring it up with your leader. And this is like a performance goals overview template that I have in my leader standard workbook. And I have it so that we talk and check in on my goals quarterly. And we can check in more often than that. Like, that's fine. But just as a reminder, like, when is the last time we checked in so that I don't lose sight of that? All right, and this is, I think, my last slide before wrapping up. So, this is a communication framework that will help you in any situation. You can communicate anything that you need to, I promise you, using SBAR. So, SBAR is situation, background, assessment, or recommendation. So, SBAR is, or situation is, what is the need, the ask, or the real issue slash problem, or the thing you're trying to communicate? Background is, how did we get to this place or to this situation? Assessment is, what have we learned now that we know what the situation is? What might happen if we don't change or do the thing that we think we should do? And what are the risks or costs associated with that thing? Hi, if you're just joining, I'm re-recording part of my day 2 of Organize AF Bootcamp because like the last 20 minutes didn't record my voice. So if you're here, drop me a line, send a comment, say hello. And recommendation is, what do we recommend as the next steps? So let me give you an example of this. Let's say my department is growing and we have way more volume of work and we need to request an FTE or a full-time equivalent or a person to help us do that work. The situation should be super straightforward. It should be X department needs to hire one FTE to handle additional workload. Background, or maybe you don't even say to handle additional workload, just needs to hire an additional FTE. Background, work volumes have gone up by X% and since blah, 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 blah time, and it has been sustained for the last 6 months. Assessment, I would put like how much the salary and benefits are for that person, how long it will take us to sort of have our return on investment. So maybe if you get reimbursed for your work, how long it might take to pay for that full-time equivalent. I might put like the risks being, if we don't hire a person, our quality will go down, our turnaround times or the time it takes us to produce good work will go down, and we won't be able to handle the increased volume or capacity. In healthcare, it might mean like we're unable to take care of the additional patients that we have, and that will lead to poor patient satisfaction. So that's a great way to talk about like what would happen if we don't do anything, and what are the risks. And then recommendation would be, approve the posting for one additional FTE for X department. Super simple. Essentially, like, I need a person. We have too much work or more work now. Here's how much it would cost. Here's what would happen if we don't do it and dissatisfaction. And our quality will go down, and please approve the requisition that I posted. Easy peasy. So I love using this in email to be concise and like very succinct and to the point. I love using SBAR when I'm communicating changes to my department. It's also a great tool when you want to sort of give background on a new, like I said, a change or a new thing we're doing, or introduce a new concept. I'll use it even for feedback, like, hey, here's what I'm hearing, and here's what I've discovered after talking to people. Here's what I know, and I would love your feedback on XYZ. So I love using SBAR. All right, so here's your homework. I do believe this part was recorded on the first time, but I'll just share it anyways. So pick one framework, template, or system that was new to you or that you love that you would like to implement at your work. And actually, let me share my picture back with you. So, like, I'm here again. Yay, it worked. Oh, back. And let me know if you're wanting to implement this in your work. And then tell me why. So you can share that in the Facebook group. If you need the link to that, let me know in the comments and I'll drop the link. Or you can reply to my replay email. I'm going to send another email after this one saying, hey, here's the additional recording with the pieces that we're missing. And if you are not on this email or the Facebook group yet, just put that in the chat and I will send you the link so that you can follow through. I will take any questions you have. So if you have any questions, throw them in the chat and I will go through them. While you're typing your questions in the chat, I will go through the reminders. So I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, for days 3 and 4 at 4 p.m. Central or 5 p.m. Eastern. I do 45 minutes-ish on the topic, and then I do a Q&A at the end. So never fear, I do try to answer questions throughout, or else I'll just do the Q&A at the end. And I assign a daily action um, and homework. And if you do the daily action, you'll be entered into a drawing for free one-on-one coaching with me for 3 months. And also, something else I shared is that I have a surprise for you all coming tomorrow that I'm super excited that I'm also giving away with this challenge. So I'm pumped for that. I will get you the link in the chat. Let me just grab that for you. I'm going to give you the link to the um here's the link to the like bootcamp sign up page, and that will get you on my email list, and you'll automatically get a list like an email from me saying like join the Facebook group, so that will give you the link as well. So that should get you everything that you need, whether it's getting the emails from me so that you can reply with that homework, or you can join the Facebook group and post the homework there too. And in that email, I always send a replay email, and it has a link to the YouTube if you don't have Facebook as well. So, all right, I'm glad you got the link. And just to recap the schedule, so yesterday we did the key elements to organization that most professionals overlook. So if you haven't seen that yet, definitely check it out. And then earlier today, I went live and did what proactive leadership looks and feels like. And the first, like most of it is great, but then at 50 minutes, there's like a little glitch. So I'm just recording this piece again. So if you haven't seen that video yet, like go back. It's on the lives page on my YouTube and on Facebook. And then tomorrow, we're covering how to add the most value at work and love doing it. And I'm going to be talking about leader standard work, delegation. Really like today we talked about managing your projects and or your team's projects and communicating up and out and really like handling work that comes into your team. Tomorrow we're going to talk about like more like closer to you, like your daily actions, the things how you can organize yourself. So I'm really excited for that. I think that's probably what most people were thinking when they're thinking like organization. But we're like building to get there. So tomorrow is when we're getting there. And then day 4 is automating your processes and reducing decisions and unnecessary stress and fatigue. So we're going to be talking about templating your work so you can easily train on it, train for succession planning, also create tools for you. So if you like do something a year ago and then later you have to do that a year again, the next year later, you're like, Oh, yeah, I know how to do that. I have a work aid. I don't have to start from scratch, which really helps you just take action instead of like, "Oh gosh, this thing is gonna be, like, huge. I don't know how to do it." You're like, "Oh, no, I've already got this." So, that is organized AF for day 2. Thank you so much for being here. It's been really fun, to have you on, and thanks for joining my, like, random surprise live for the last half. If there are any other questions, pop them in the chat before I go. Happy to answer as many as I can. I'm just giving it another second. I'm so pumped to, like, be doing this. Thanks for cooperating with not cooperating with me. Thanks you for, like, just yeah, putting up with me and as I'm learning with this new technology, but it's super fun. I love being able to restream in both on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. So I'm loving it. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. If you think of anything else, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll send a replay email, and you should be able to just reply to my email and ask me any questions or chat with me directly or privately if you'd like. All right, everyone, take care. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow. Aw, thank you. I appreciate this. I appreciate your support. All right, take care.